I think it's important to capture the stories that we have now. I mean, we have one patient who turned 100, and that's entire generation. Their journey, their perspective, their experience, the world that they lived in, I think is important to capture when we look at where we are in our timeline backwards. And if we look at where we are in our timeline forwards, the treatment landscape is completely changing. I mean, we're seeing so many new and different therapies, different modes of action, completely different approaches coming. I think it's important to capture the patient experience and the patient journey historically and on a human level, to understand where this community has come from, and to get not just future generations of bleeding disorder patients to remember their history, but also future decision makers in the public space to understand what the issues were, what the reality was, what the experience was, and why novel therapies can be so life-altering, not just for patients, but their entire environment.
I was born in 1949, so I'm 70 years old.
Well, my name is Terkel Andersen, and I'm a person with hemophilia.
My name is Uwe Schlenkrich. I was born in 1957. I'm 62 years old.
5 panels, and in the panels will be the doors, and each door will correspond to a decade starting from the 1950s, and in each of these doors there will be an iPad where the stories from that decade will be then gathered, and so depending on who has been telling a story in that decade, then we will hear certain things, and so finally it will lead us to the decade that we just started, the decade we are living right now. And we will end with a door to the future and hear about hopes of people for the future, and what they are expecting, what they don't want to expect, also the fears.
The door is more simultaneous realities at the same time.
Actually, and I really like that part of it, that you have you open the door to the 50s or 60s, for example, in Western Europe.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you can open the door to I don't know, in Kyrgyzstan or Bosnia today, and the reality is the same, and that's the worst.
My name's Mark Ward. I was born in England in 1969, which makes me 50 years old.
Je suis français, donc je viens de France. Je suis né dans une petite ville qui s'appelle Versailles.
My name is Manon Degenaar. I'm from the Netherlands. I live in Haarlem near Amsterdam, and I'm
like, you can see that there are things that have not changed at all. There was a story from a person who was born in 49, and she's a sister of brothers with hemophilia, and then she's telling about struggles of her father, and then you can imagine that nowadays maybe these struggles are quite the same as well for the dads of children with hemophilia, and it gives you some kind of idea of things that you don't know about.
What I like about the idea is that everybody is on a different path, trajectory, but ultimately they're very similar. They just don't know how similar in time or across space or across experiences they are. So I like that about the exhibit.
This sense of community, that it's still there, that the people have the stories that they share. I think that's also important from that aspect, that they know, that people know that they are not alone with their story.
From the Netherlands. I live in Haarlem near Amsterdam, and I'm born in
Labdien, man sauc Baiva. Es esmu
1977.
dzimusi 1982. gadā, un man ir 37
My name is Stefan.
gadi.
I'm born in 1985. I'm
My name is
34
Naya
years
Skol-Rasmussen,
old, and
and
I'm
I
from
am from
Germany.
Denmark.
My name is Enea
And
Troche. I am
have
21 years
bleeding
old.
disorder.
I was born in 1998.
My name is Donald
And
McCann.
Also, having done these interviews, I think it's been also quite a challenge, and very eye-opening, massively eye-opening.
I think it's harder than we realize to speak about one's personal experience, and it's a bit of a floodgate. It's much easier to be a patient representative than a patient testimonial, than a patient sharing one's own testimonial. Well, I think the idea was that we didn't want these stories to be stagnant, captured in time and then forgotten, and we didn't want them to be limited to the one event. We started thinking about how to have it travel. Then we had to think about the materials and making them lightweight and have the stories be adapted and adaptable.
Switzerland
March
in
1991.
My name is
And I'm
Joyce
from
van
Ireland.
Steenbergen.
County Meath in Ireland.
I'm 54 years old, and I'm.
In order to make the experience more immersive, then we thought to have audio, visual. Also, at one point, we even had the idea of 3D, you could say, to the touch. I mean, I think it will be still, you have still the three elements, because you are opening the door with a movement, and you are also, you'll be choosing the country where you want to zoom in and where you want to hear the stories. And then you will hear the stories and you will see pictures, you'll see the visuals. So it's still, in a way, it is still the 3D experience that keeps that makes it more immersive and for people to be able to be more part of those stories and to live with those stories as well.
I have a son of 16 years old. He has hemophilia A.
I hope our animals will, over time, take the exhibit, invite it to come to their countries, add to it, and then send it off to another country, and that it's one of these exhibits that travels.
Well, I hope, because I think it's part of this awareness raising, and also I think when you raise awareness among general public, then you also add the voices to your cause. If you look at hemophilia care in a broader picture, in the end, like having good care and having good treatment, it's for the benefit of the whole society. There are quite a lot of also resource and food for thought will be there as well.
I think that's one of my favorite elements of the exhibit idea, the fact that it will live, it will continue to live. So we're very grateful to all the volunteers, and on behalf of all of us at EHC, thank them for entrusting us with their stories, sharing them with the community, and letting them live on.